Francis pleaded to Lena with his eyes. If she were the loving girlfriend he knew her to be, there was no way she'd allow another woman to dance with him, especially not Georgina Crawford. Finally, Lena shrugged, looking dubiously at Francis. Well, you heard the lady, Francis. She's the birthday girl, and the one thing she wants is to dance with you. Francis sighed, annoyed. I really don't like to dance. Beside them, Millie spoke up. Since when is that a birthday tradition? I've never heard of it before. Georgina whirled on her and saw a faint smile on Millie's face. There was a slight contempt showing through her expression. Millie, you're not in the same social circles. It makes sense that you haven't heard of that, Georgina said tightly. Georgina thought to herself that she couldn't stand the stupid, smug look on Millie's face. She was such a bookworm who thought she knew everything. Millie laughed. That's right, thank you. She decided to just let Georgina's slight slide instead of firing back at her. It was her birthday after all. Please, Lena, can I dance with him? Georgina snaked her arm around Lena's arm, pleading. Whatever. Lena scowled, pulling her arm away. She didn't understand what Georgina was up to. If Francis wants to dance with you, I think he'll say so. I don't think I have to be involved in this. Lena thought back unhappily to Millie persuading her to come to this party in the first place. She wished she had not agreed and felt like a fool for doing so. Francis turned to Lena, looking a little upset. You don't care if I dance with Georgina? Lena shrugged, confused. You can dance with anybody you want, Francis. Francis's face fell. He thought he meant more to Lena than that. He started to wonder if in Lena's heart, their relationship meant something more casual than he had thought. Georgina noticed the tension between Lena and Francis, and she smiled proudly. She pretended to be anxious. Wait, are you guys upset? Did I say something wrong? Oh no, did I cause a problem between the two of you? Francis glared at Georgina. No. He did not think that this was Georgina's fault at all. She didn't have the power to do this on her own. He felt upset because of the way Lena had responded. If he had known Lena would react this way, he would not have come. Georgina gently pushed Francis. Francis, hurry up and make Lena feel better. Lena, don't blame Francis. It's not his fault. Millie laughed lightly and picked up a glass of champagne. Oh my God, so much drama. She passed the glass to Lena. Here, you seem like you need one of these. Thank you, Millie, Lena said as she took the champagne, but did not say anything else. Francis was confused at Lena's suddenly icy attitude and felt even more uncomfortable. Georgina deliberately ignored Millie and Lena, turning back to Francis. Hey, so, Francis, are you still going to dance with me? I do have a bit of a time limit and everyone is expecting me to kick off the dancing. Francis looked at Lena again. Lena glared back. Why are you looking at me like that? Do whatever you want. Fine. Francis gritted his teeth. He walked to the dance floor, landing directly in front of the string quartet in the middle of the crowd. Georgina excitedly followed after him. As they stepped out in front of everyone, the whole room seemed to take notice and turn toward them. Francis glumly put out his hand and Georgina took it. Everyone quietly watched them. Georgina leaned in toward Francis's ear and whispered, Francis, I'm not very good at dancing. Please be nice to me. He recoiled from her whisper, disgusted. Yeah, you got it, he muttered, trying to stifle the displeasure spilling forth from his heart. His expression was cold and slightly disgusted. The band shifted to a new song. Francis and Georgina began to dance. To the surprise of the onlookers, especially to anyone who knew either of them, both Francis and Georgina seemed to have a pretty good rhythm. Not only did they match each other in moves, but they looked quite good together as well. Georgina's cheeks flushed red. She stepped closer to Francis, her arms around his neck as she held him close. Her upper body was pressed tightly against him. She smiled up at him, imagining that she was successfully seducing him. How could he not be obsessed with me after this? She thought silently to herself. Watching the two of them dance, Jake looked like he wanted to throw a drink at somebody. He thought internally, just because of this stupid dork, I don't get to dance with Georgina in front of everyone. The crowd murmured as everyone made their own assessments of the couple, with everyone admiring the way they looked and danced. From the back of the room, Lena's heart sank as she watched. She wondered if she had made a mistake. Millie leaned over to her. "What are you feeling?" Millie whispered. "Is it regret?" Lena rolled her eyes and huffed. "Why would I be feeling regret?" She took a long swig of champagne. "Ugh, why is this so sour?" Millie smiled. "It's called a Petna. It's made in some really old-fashioned way that's come back into style, and it's quite bitter compared to regular champagne. But doesn't that fit with how you're feeling?" Lena acted offended. "Are you calling me bitter? I am not." She glanced back at Georgina and Francis, pouting. They both suddenly overheard an older woman nearby who sounded drunk. "Wow, doesn't that young man have some other girlfriend? He must not. They make such a handsome couple. The two of them really match together. Oh, to be young and in love." "Oh my God," Lena muttered, drinking more of her champagne. "Millie, why does everyone think they're together? Did I do the wrong thing? What was I supposed to have said?" Millie tilted her head. "What do you want me to tell you? I think you know what you wish you had said." The more Lena looked at Francis and Georgina on the dance floor, the more anger in her face turned to sadness. "Millie, I regret not saying anything and letting him go dance with her." Millie grinned. "Wow, I'm proud of you. This is good. Do you wish he had not said yes to her? He was there making that decision too." "I know, right?" Lena replied. "I wish I had stopped him, but I also wish he hadn't gone." Millie looked at Francis, thinking, "I think he wanted you to stop him, but neither of you were really communicating." "Huh." Lena snorted. "I feel so angry." Millie smiled and gestured to Francis. "Trust me, I think he is definitely more angry than you right now." "What is he angry about?" Lena looked at the dancing couple. She frowned at Francis and Georgina's chests pressed against each other. Is he mad because he wishes they were even closer together? Millie rolled her eyes at Lena. "No, he hates Georgina, and he's just doing this because he was mad at you. He said he wasn't going to go dance. You kept insisting it was up to him, and he ran away in anger. Now you're sulking and being petty." "But I said it was up to him, and that's what I meant." Lena pouted. "If he didn't want to go, why didn't he just refuse her? I think he should have smashed one of those jelly pastries into her dress." Millie pinched the bridge of her nose. "I think it's pretty clear now that you don't want him to go dance with Georgina. But that's what he wanted you to tell him from the beginning." Lena watched Georgina and Francis glumly, then decided she would rather look at literally anything else. She looked at a light fixture that seemed vaguely interesting. She stared at that instead, trying to will tears not to well up in her eyes. "Hey, you know what might fix this?" Millie asked. Lena looked up at her, curious. "Those macarons are amazing," Millie said, holding up a green one. "Take this." Lena shook her head, feeling like she'd lost her appetite. "No, I really don't want to eat anything right now, and I'm worried that if this was in my hand, I would throw it." Millie thought that she could cheer Lena up, but she was surprised at this more tense response. She wondered if she should actually worry about her friend. At the same time, Francis and Georgina finished their dance to the roaring applause of the crowd. Georgina stood beside Francis, and the two of them walked off the dance floor as the applause continued. Her heart was filled with joy. This was exactly what she had been hoping for. Georgina spotted Lena from afar and felt glee flutter in her chest at Lena's unhappy expression. She thought silently, "This damn Lena still dares to think she could snatch a man from me?" You know what would make her feel even worse? Georgina looked at Francis's hand and took it in her own, lacing his fingers through hers. She squeezed his hand, touching her shoulder to his. Across the room, Lena felt as though a knife had been plunged through her heart. Lena stared ahead, her face showing the inner conflict between anger and sadness she was now experiencing. She couldn't believe that she had led Francis right into the arms of another woman. There was no one to blame but herself. "Oh no, Lena," Francis thought as he spotted Lena in the crowd. He could tell by her face that she was upset. The agitation he felt instantly dissipated when he realized how this affected her. "I shouldn't have agreed to dance with Georgina," Francis thought with regret. He had only agreed to dance with Georgina in the first place because he felt angry. The second he had stepped on the dance floor, he knew he would regret his decision. Why did I have to try to get back at her like that? It was too late for Francis to go back. The dance was over, and Francis felt more and more annoyed as Georgina made a show of holding his hand as they exited the floor. Every time he tried to regain some physical distance between them, she would press herself close to him again, closing the gap. All I want right now is to get back to Lena and smooth things over. I feel so bad. Why did I get myself into this situation? Francis grumbled in his head. Francis kept glancing guiltily in Lena's direction, but Georgina was not interested in sharing Francis's attention. She waved her hand in his face. "Hey, birthday girl over here!" Before Francis could respond, Georgina forcefully pulled him toward her mother, Jessica, her grandfather, Jacob Nevin, and the other adults. Francis knew he couldn't walk away from a group of elders. Ugh, Georgina is an evil genius to trap me like this, he thought with despair. Once they reached Georgina's mother, she immediately began peppering Francis with questions that he found incredibly boring. He awkwardly did his best to answer politely. As her mother, Jessica Nevin, knew Georgina's true intentions, of course, she spared no effort to help her precious daughter steer Francis towards her grandfather and the patriarch of the entire Nevin family, Jacob Nevin. "What are they doing now? This is unbelievable," Lena fumed as she glared at Francis's back. "Nobody asked you to just say whatever popped into your head. You should have been more honest about your feelings with Francis." Millie shook her head. "Aren't you supposed to be my friend?" Lena wailed at Millie. "Of course I'm your friend. I'm on your side. I wanted you to wake up and get your act together," Millie explained. "If you love Francis and want to hold on to him, you have to let him know how you feel. You can't keep pretending that you don't care. You should have said that you didn't want him to dance with her. If you do that going forward, you won't be in this position again. Georgina just walked up and took what she wanted and you let her. If you marry Francis someday, are you going to let Georgina just come along and steal him then too?" "Oh no," Lena said dejectedly. Her eyes widened at the realization. "But what if Francis wants to go with Georgina?" Millie rolled her eyes. "I can't with you anymore." "Georgina is so gorgeous," Lena lamented as she looked over at Georgina and Francis standing together as they talked to the adults. She didn't want to admit it to herself, but Georgina and Francis did make an attractive pair. "We all know she's hot, but that doesn't mean she can walk all over you, or that Francis cares at all about that." Millie rolled her eyes, frustrated. "You're hot too, and Francis obviously already thinks so. You make this so hard when it doesn't need to be at all. Georgina might be hot on the outside, but her personality makes her a toad." Lena laughed loudly at Millie's words. She nodded her head and covered her mouth to try to stifle her giggles. "It's true. Her personality is a slimy, warty toad." Meanwhile, Francis could not stand to spend another second in Georgina's suffocating grasp. He heard Lena's laughter and saw that Millie and Lena appeared to be having a fine time. "Francis, why don't we—" Georgina started to say, but Francis interrupted. "Sorry, excuse me, I gotta go." Francis nodded politely at Jacob and Jessica Nevin and firmly pulled his arm away from Georgina's hold. He hurried away. "Francis, wait! Where are you going?" Georgina called after him. Her smug smile fell to a disappointed scowl. She stared at Francis's back as he walked away from her. "You can't just walk away from me, Francis. You want to make this hard? I'll just try harder. I'm not giving up. I'm more than good enough. Is Frances a total dummy when it comes to choosing girlfriends? Jessica suddenly pulled Georgina's hand and shook her head. Don't make a scene. You are the princess at this party. She sternly reminded Georgina. Princesses don't lose their cool and chase after boys who walk away from them. Princesses have the attitude that there are plenty of other boys, and they need to compete for her, not vice versa. Don't panic and make yourself look desperate. Remember that you are valuable. Georgina pouted as she watched Frances walk back towards Lena. Lena and Millie still laughed and joked when they suddenly felt a presence approaching. Lena turned to see Frances standing there with a stern expression. What? Lena started to ask. Come with me. We're going to talk about this. Frances exclaimed. What do you mean? I'm not leaving, Lena said as she tried to hide behind Millie. Millie stepped off to the side so that Lena had nothing to hide behind. Don't use me to get out of this. Millie rolled her eyes. You're going to handle this yourself. Come on, Lena, don't be like this. Frances insisted. I'm not moving, so if you want me to come with you, you're going to have to carry me out of here, Lena said dismissively. Seriously? Frances sighed. Okay, fine, if you insist. He moved toward Lena and picked her up, hoisting her over his shoulder. Hey, Frances, what are you doing? Lena screeched. She was stunned. Watch my gown. Nobody's getting an eyeful today. Other guests heard Lena's protest and started to look over. Not bad, Frances. Have you been lifting? Millie teased. Frances, put me down. Lena struggled. She couldn't help but laugh. No, not until you have an honest conversation with me, Frances replied. See you guys later. Millie waved her hand playfully at Lena. Millie, you traitor! Lena gasped. I need you to stop squirming so I don't drop you. Frances strained. I may have overcommitted by holding her up until she talks to me. He worried to himself. Frances, I'm warning you. You can't just kidnap people. This is a crime scene now. Lena protested. Don't care. Millie, your star witness, is on my side. Frances shrugged as he walked toward the door with Lena still in his arms. Through the crowd of guests, Georgina glared at Frances and clenched her teeth angrily. Frances just danced with me for the first time and I had him chat with my mom and my grandfather. And now he's just carrying some other girl out of this building in front of everyone? How does that make things look for me? Jessica observed the situation as well and saw the anger on Georgina's face. It's all right. Don't let it discourage you. You must keep calm and think of the long game, Jessica said soothingly as she patted Georgina's shoulder. Remember who you are. Today is your day and you must not let anyone else spoil your mood. Georgina said nothing and clenched her fist tightly. She's right, Georgina thought. This is my birthday party. I'm not letting anyone ruin it. Frances carried Lena all the way to the main entrance. The security guards that manned the check-in counter were stunned. They did not know what was going on. Just then, Olivia and Morgana arrived. As they entered, they passed Frances carrying Lena out over his shoulder. What's this about? Is this your new thing now? Morgana asked. Or should we be doing that too? I don't know what kind of rules this party has. Olivia, Morgana? Frances nodded politely as if he didn't have their friend slung over his shoulder at that moment. Lena, you must really be in trouble now, Olivia teased. She tilted her head at Lena and giggled. Very funny. Thanks for your help. Lena rolled her eyes. We'll be back. We just have some things to discuss, Frances said. All right then, good luck. Olivia nodded and gestured for them to carry on their way. Bye-bye. Morgana wiggled her fingers at Lena and grinned. I'm going to remember this. We'll see if you're laughing when it's my turn. Lena jokingly shook her fist at her friends. Frances walked off with Lena. Those two are something else. Olivia laughed as she and Morgana walked into the party. As soon as they entered, a server who had been paid by Jake Nevin to keep an eye out clocked their presence. He stealthily reached up and touched his earpiece, making sure to speak low enough that no one in the vicinity could hear. Mr. Nevin? The waiter waited for confirmation from his boss. When he received a reply, he smiled to himself as he spoke. Olivia has just arrived. It's go time. Out on the dance floor, Jake danced with Georgina under the colorful, flashing lights. When he heard the message in his earpiece from the server he had paid to work as a spy, he grinned. Olivia finally came. He chuckled to himself. Georgina saw Jake grinning from ear to ear. Cousin, are you really enjoying dancing with me that much? She giggled. Yeah, Jake replied as a thin excuse for his smile. It wasn't entirely a lie. He was in a very good mood, to say the least. Everything is working out. I deserve to celebrate with a little more fun, he decided. He leaned forward and whispered into Georgina's ear. You don't even know how jealous I was watching you dance with that silly Francis kid. Oh, stop, you're embarrassing me. Georgina batted at Jake's shoulder flirtatiously. After she just suffered Francis's rejection and the resulting blow to her ego, the attention from her cousin Jake helped her feel a bit better. Even though he was her cousin, he was still a man, and Georgina was never opposed to attention from men. Now you're shy all of a sudden? Jake's gaze lingered on the low neckline of Georgina's dress before roving over the rest of her. Georgina, you just keep getting prettier and prettier. Jake continued, dancing with Georgina as he positioned himself closer and closer to her. In the middle of the crowd, no one was able to see how close he was to his cousin. Suddenly, he accidentally stepped on Georgina's foot. Ah, Jake! Georgina complained. Sorry. Jake apologized. I was too distracted looking at you. I lost track of my feet. Well, watch it, Georgina warned flirtatiously. Jake found the sound of Georgina's seductive voice particularly appealing. When the song ended, they both moved away from the dance floor to take a break. Georgina turned to Jake to say something, but she noticed that Jake looked distracted. She frowned. Jake, what's wrong? I have to do something. Jake smiled, then walked off. Ugh. Georgina frowned as she watched Jake leave and stomped her foot in frustration. Every guy at this party just walks away from me. What the hell is this? It's my birthday. You don't just flirt and bail. Georgina? Jessica appeared at Georgina's side with a warning in her voice. Mom? Georgina answered curtly. The shift from the fun she had enjoyed while dancing and flirting with Jake to the presence of her stern mother felt jarring. Jessica pulled Georgina by the arm towards her and whispered into her ear. You are to stay away from Jake. He's a bad seed. I know that, Georgina snapped, pulling her arm away. She knew that Jake Nevin was not a good person, and definitely something of a weirdo. Every time he looked at her, his eyes were filled with inappropriate lust. She was accustomed to this attention from everyone, though, so it didn't bother her that much. On the contrary, she actively enjoyed the attention. What did it hurt if it was from Jake? She liked the attention whenever she could get it, from whomever she could get it. It made her feel great. Tonight has been really hard on me. Francis really did hurt my feelings when he ignored me and went for that girl Lena instead. Don't I deserve to feel good about myself? It's just harmless fun. Georgina reasoned in her mind. Good, Jessica replied. I trust that you know what to do. Jessica knew Georgina could be foolish sometimes in the pursuit of attention. It was not normally a big problem, but tonight, Georgina had the spotlight on her. It was not a good night to get caught flirting with one's cousin. Yes, Georgina nodded. She knew when to quit while she was ahead. It was all a game to her. She thought about how much she enjoyed getting attention from those infatuated looks. The cherry on top was when she hooked them, and then just when they thought they had her, she walked away. It made her feel powerful. Even buying a few high-end bags did not feel as good as torturing guys. Georgina smiled, but her thoughts drifted back to Francis. She frowned as she remembered the way Francis picked Lena up over his shoulder. What is wrong with him? She wondered bitterly. Does he have a problem with his eyeballs? He actually prefers that other girl and ignores me? How are we even both in the running? It should be no contest. I'm way better than that girl in every way. She should be the one struggling to get his attention at her own birthday party, not me. Jessica saw Georgina ruminating and assumed it must be about Francis again. Why does that boy have to make it so hard for her? Jessica wondered to herself. With my daughter around, how could he possibly even notice anyone else? He is lucky to have Georgina's sights set on him. I can't have Georgina making a scene at this party, though. I must try to distract her and keep her happy. Come on, I have someone I want you to see, Jessica offered. Okay, Georgina nodded. In her head, she rolled her eyes harder than ever. This is going to be boring. She sighed as she followed her mother over to the crowd of adults. Elsewhere at the party, Jake found Mark DeLillo in the crowd of guests. He picked up a glass of wine and handed it to Mark. Do you see Olivia? She's here, Jake said to him in a low voice. He looked away while he spoke, as if to pretend they were not communicating at all. Jake was not as good of an actor as he fancied himself. Yes, I saw her, Mark responded under his breath. Stop looking away to pretend you're not talking to me. It's harder to tell what you're saying, and it's just drawing attention. Jake rolled his eyes and turned back to Mark. Fine, he sighed before he continued. The room we'll use for the plan is on the second floor in the center. I'll have people there in half an hour, Jake said and handed a pill to Mark. Okay, Mark said, pleased. He turned and nodded to Beatrix Cooper, who stood a small distance away. He has the stuff, Beatrix concluded from Mark's nod to her. Her mouth curved into a devious smile. Maybe Olivia can do us a favor and die this time, Beatrix thought. I always said you were going to pay. Olivia noticed the way Beatrix, Mark, and Jake all seemed to be communicating with each other. What is going on? Olivia wondered. She saw Mark pocket the pill. Olivia grumbled to herself. Oh, another stupid roofie. Why are these people so uncreative over and over? Get a new thing already. Olivia, what's on your mind? Morgana asked. Morgana, Olivia said as she placed her hand seriously on Morgana's shoulder. Do you have anything that can make someone immune to all drugs? Immune to all drugs? Morgana blinked as if it was a foolish question. She pointed to herself. Me. I am immune to all drugs and peer pressure for what that's worth. She's not talking about you. She means something someone can take to make them immune, Millie explained. Right, exactly. Olivia nodded. Oh, well, there is no such thing. Morgana shook her head. That's just an idea from TV and movies. The fairy tales are all lies, you know. Don't get me started on beanstalks. Okay. Millie waved her hand. I'm explaining, Morgana retorted. The human body relies on the liver to detox and some other things, but they have their limits. I raised venom bugs from a young age that can make you immune to a specific drug. And I also ate a wide variety of herbs to make myself immune to all kinds of stuff. But there isn't one single thing that makes you immune to all drugs. That's just impossible. It doesn't exist. Olivia thought for a moment. I don't suppose you have anything that can be used as an antidote to the drug Mark DeLillo loves to slip into people's drinks? Rohypnol? It really is always roofing with these people, huh? Aside from being super gross and criminal, Mark needs to get, like, a new playbook. Morgana mused and shook her head. She thought about it and nodded. I do have an insect that suppresses the effects of rohypnol. Really? Olivia raised her eyebrows. Why do you have that? For self-defense, Morgana shrugged. But there's one tricky thing. It may work as an antidote type thing, but the bug itself is poisonous to humans. And if you don't take the rohypnol along with it, you die. You'd have to ingest the insect and then the drug within 2 hours, or else it would just be like you took poison. Damn. Olivia and Millie breathed simultaneously. That's intense. I thought I'd already seen the most dangerous bug of Morgana's, but I was wrong, Olivia thought. It might be dangerous, but... Olivia thought about the satisfaction of thwarting Mark at his own game. The opportunity was much too delicious. It will be worth it, Olivia decided. Okay. Olivia swallowed her fear. I'll ingest the poisonous bug. Morgana's eyes widened in shock as she watched Olivia swallow the bug. Her mouth turned upwards in a grin of admiration. Olivia grimaced, her face contorting as if she had just tasted the most bitter of medicines. She wiped her mouth discreetly, trying to rid herself of the unpleasant sensation. Morgana couldn't help but let out a dry chuckle. Well, I didn't know you had it in you, Johnson. Though I guess I've seen you do far worse. It probably doesn't taste half as bad as kissing Chris Jones. Olivia rolled her eyes. Very funny. Now all I have to do is get my hands on that drink, she muttered, her gaze fixed on the three stooges across the room. Through the crowd, Olivia's sharp eyes caught every detail of their clumsy exchange. She watched as Jake passed the roofie to Mark, who then handed it to Beatrix. With a devious smile, Beatrix slipped the pill into a glass of wine and returned it to Mark. The trio seemed to believe their plan was foolproof, unaware of Olivia's watchful gaze. Internally, Olivia couldn't help but scoff at their lack of creativity. Do they really think I'd fall for such an obvious trick? She thought. They're underestimating me. Again. If they think I've taken the drink and nothing happens, their panic will be my entertainment. Let's see how they handle their plan unraveling. Her thoughts shifted to the risk she had just taken. This insect better work its magic. I can't wait to see the look on Mark, Jake, and Beatrix's face when they start accusing each other of failing. Again. Meanwhile, across the room, Mark, Jake, and Beatrix huddled together. This has to work, Mark insisted, his tone laced with urgency. There can be no more mistakes, Jake. We can't afford any slip-ups this time. Jake's expression soured, offended by the doubt cast his way. It'll work, Mark, trust me. It was just a little miscommunication last time. Don't put it all on me. Beatrix, however, was less than impressed with their bravado. Oh, please, both of you botched it the first time. If you can't get your act together, I'll have to step in. And we all know I'm more than capable of handling Olivia. Mark rolled his eyes, clearly unconvinced of Beatrix's ability to outmaneuver Olivia. I'll make sure everything goes according to plan. If anyone can get this done, it's me. Under her breath, Beatrix muttered a snarky remark. I bet you've had a lot of practice with this kind of thing. Choosing to ignore Beatrix's jibe, Mark turned and walked away, his mind focused on the execution of their scheme. Olivia, still observing from a distance, felt a surge of anticipation. The night was young, and the game was just beginning. As Mark walked away from Beatrix and Jake, he picked up a tray of drinks, deliberately placing the spiked drink on it. With a calculated stride, he began to weave through the crowd toward Millie, Morgana, and Olivia. Olivia's gaze locked onto Mark with an intensity that could cut glass. Her mind churned with disdain. Mark DeLillo is the embodiment of everything repulsive. How can someone be so blindly arrogant? He thinks he can outwit me again? Pathetic. Morgana and Millie, noticing Mark's approach, exchanged quick glances. Millie's eyes widened in surprise, clearly not expecting his direct approach, while Morgana's face held a look of anticipation, ready to witness what she hoped would be another failed attempt by Mark. Mark, trying clumsily to exude charm, greeted them with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Good evening, ladies. I hope I'm not intruding. Mark, Olivia greeted coolly, her voice laced with an unhidden disdain. Morgana's response was equally frosty. DeLillo? She said, her tone flat. Millie simply nodded, her surprise morphing into a guarded expression. Mark handed each girl a drink, making sure to give the spiked one to Olivia. I wanted to offer these drinks as a small gesture. I've been reflecting on my recent actions towards the bar company, and I must admit, I feel rather remorseful, he declared, holding Olivia's gaze. Olivia met his gaze with a defiant stare, accepting the glass without breaking eye contact. Morgana let out a snort. Oh, Mark, the list of things you should feel bad about could fill an encyclopedia. Let's start with that haircut, your choice of outfit, that cologne smells expensive but god-awful, and, well, your overall existence. Mark rolled his eyes, clearly annoyed, but quickly refocused on Olivia. I just want to publicly apologize for my remarks about the park company in recent interviews. My critique was harsh and unwarranted, he announced loudly, ensuring the nearby guests could hear. I didn't mean a word of it, Olivia. It was all business talk, an attempt to tear down a competitor. But I should have known better. Nothing I said could touch such a formidable opponent like you in the park company. As he held out his glass for a toast, his expression was slimy, clearly up to something. To Olivia Johnson and the indomitable park company, he toasted. Olivia's mind raced with thoughts of the insect and the potential poison. I have to go through with this. But what if the bug doesn't work? It has to work. She raised her glass, her hand steady despite the whirlwind of thoughts. As Olivia's lips neared the glass, the room seemed to slow down. Suddenly, a hand reached out, snatching the glass from her grasp. It was Chris Jones. Who's trying to toast my fiancé without me? Chris interjected, his voice cool but laced with a hint of challenge. Mark frowned at Chris's sudden appearance, but he quickly masked it with a forced smile. Oh, Chris, I was just offering an apology toast to Olivia. You know, due to the rivalry in the media has been hyping up between the Rose Company and the Park Company. Olivia's mind was racing. What the hell is Chris doing here? I don't need to be saved, especially not now. I need to think fast and get that glass back before the bug's poison kicks in. Olivia calmly took the glass back from Chris. It's fine, Chris. I'd like to hear Mark out. It's time we put the past behind us. Chris, however, watched Mark's fixation on the glass of wine, a suspicion forming in his mind. He's up to something. Did he spike that drink? It's very big of you, Olivia, to want to put the past behind you and Mark. That's what we all need to do in this cutthroat business world. Chris said subtly, reaching to take the glass away from Olivia. Yes, it's quite wonderful that Mark wants to put aside these media-created conflicts. The Park Company and the Rose Company can maintain a competitive spirit while being respectful, Olivia stated, her voice dripping with sarcasm as she reclaimed the glass. Chris, growing increasingly frustrated, snatched the glass back and said, Absolutely. Mutual respect is key in business. Here, let me hold that for you. Just trying to keep things civil, Olivia said, her irritation mounting as she reached for the glass again. Chris's frustration peaked, and as Olivia attempted to take the glass, it slipped from his grasp and shattered to the floor. The sound of breaking glass echoed, drawing stunned silence from Millie and Morgana. Mark's face froze in an expression of terror as he watched his plan crumble before his eyes. Olivia seethed internally, watching Chris stand there with a look of self-satisfaction. Her mind raced. Chris, what have you done? You've just ruined everything. Her plan to outsmart Mark, Jake, and Beatrix was lying in ruins, just like the shattered glass at her feet. I had it under control. I don't need him to swoop in and play the hero, not now. As she seethed silently, Chris, oblivious to what he had just disrupted, casually picked up another glass of wine from a nearby tray and handed it to Olivia. Olivia's eyes flashed dangerously at Chris, a silent warning that she was far from pleased. Yet she masked her anger by raising the new glass in a toast. To Mark DeLillo and the Rose Company's success. Mark, eager to escape the situation, raised his glass in response. Thank you, Olivia, I appreciate it, he said. His words rushed. With a quick nod, he turned and hurried away, desperately seeking Beatrix to regroup and formulate a new plan. Chris, attempting to be affectionate, placed his hand around Olivia's waist, but she jerked away sharply, her eyes still ablaze with fury. What's wrong? Chris asked. He seemed genuinely dumbfounded. Morgana and Millie, having witnessed the entire exchange, huddled together, whispering urgently. We need to get her another drink with the same stuff. The bug? It'll poison her if we don't. Morgana murmured, her brows furrowed in worry. Millie bit her lips, scanning the room. But how? We can't just ask someone to spike a drink. That sounds crazy. Across the room, Beatrix stood in the shadows, a satisfied smile playing on her lips. The chaos of the shattered glass, the tense exchange between Olivia and Chris, it was all part of her plan. Tonight will be a night Olivia Johnson will never forget, Beatrix thought, her smile widening. She always reveled in the thought of outsmarting an opponent, but this victory tasted even sweeter. I've outsmarted Olivia Johnson. I have her right where I want her. Outside of Georgina's birthday party, Brett Cooper stood alongside Melanie Cooper, both prepping to make their entrance. Brett, with a sly grin, turned to Melanie. "Ready to shock everyone at this little soiree?" he asked, his voice tinged with anticipation. Melanie's eyes sparkled with confidence and a hint of mischief. "Oh, I can't wait to have all eyes on me." Brett's gaze lingered on her a moment too long, his tone dripping with uncomfortable sleaziness. "I must say, Melanie, you look absolutely stunning tonight. I bet all the guys in here won't be able to take their eyes off you." Melanie was caught between the revulsion of receiving that kind of compliment from her father and her love for attention. She gave a small, forced smile. "Thanks, Dad. Shall we?" She gestured towards the party entrance. As they walked in, Brett's mind was racing with a new plan. Maybe Melanie can be the key to salvaging the Cooper family's reputation. If I can get her to sleep with Mark, all will be well with the family. She'll succeed where her sister Beatrix failed. Across the street, a nondescript van sat parked on a quiet curb. Inside, Camilla and Cameron Pell were surrounded by a myriad of monitors, each displaying different angles of the Nevin residence. The twins were intently watching the party through security cameras they had hacked into. On one of the screens, they saw Melanie and Brett make their entrance. Camilla signed rapidly to Cameron. "Something about Brett makes me itch. He's so unsettling." Cameron signed back, his expression grim. None of the Coopers can be trusted. They're all the same. Camilla's hands moved swiftly. "Who's that girl with Brett?" Their eyes fixed on the screen, showing the partygoers' reactions to Brett's arrival with Melanie, his young, beautiful companion. "Everyone's gawking at them," Camilla noted. Cameron studied Melanie's face on the monitor. "They look related. Must be his daughter," he signed. Camilla's hands fluttered with curiosity. "I wonder if Carolina Crawford is bold enough to show up here. It's Olivia's territory after all." Cameron replied with a hint of dark amusement. "Carolina's been spotted all over the city. She might just be brazen enough to crash this party." "The audacity of these families," Camilla signed. Cameron's signs grew darker. "The bolder they are, the more ruthless our response can be. I hope they all show up. The more intel we gather, the easier it will be to disseminate them." Camilla smirked at his decisiveness, but her expression softened when her eyes landed on Millie on one of the screens. "Millie looks beautiful tonight, like an angel," Camilla signed, her eyes not leaving the screen. Cameron's normally stoic behavior melted into warmth as he looked at his girlfriend Millie, a softness in his eyes that was rare. Camilla teased him, signing, "You're blushing. Admit it, she's gorgeous." Cameron's expression shifted, but he signed back, "I know she's beautiful. That's not news to me." Inside the party, Millie and Morgana watched Olivia with a growing sense of nervousness. The ticking clock of the insect's potential poison loomed over them. Morgana bit her lip, trying to steady her nerves. If Olivia doesn't get the right drug into her system soon, that bug is going to start releasing its poison. I never thought I'd say this, but we actually need her to take a spiked drink. "How much time does she have left?" Millie asked, her voice trembling slightly. Considering Mark's long-winded, ridiculous speech and Chris's Captain Save a Pretty Girl complex, I'd say Olivia has about an hour and a half before the bug reacts to the absence of Rohypnol, Morgana replied. Panic flashed over Millie's face. "We need to find a way to spike another drink." "But how?" Morgana shook her head. "We can't just spike it with anything. It has to be Rehypnol. That's what the bug is programmed to neutralize. Millie's eyes widened in panic. But where are we going to find that at a party like this? We don't need to find it. We need to get it. Clearly, Mark, Jake, and Beatrix have it. Morgana said, her mind working overtime. Do you think we could get it from them? From Mark, Jake, or Beatrix? Millie asked. Morgana sighed. I highly doubt we can get close enough to any of them to have a chance at stealing it. Millie looked helplessly at Olivia, who was now whispering something into Chris's ear. Morgana continued, her voice grim. If we don't get it, and that bug releases its poison without Rehypnol in Olivia's system. She trailed off, not wanting to detail the nasty consequences. What happens then? Millie urged, needing to know the worst-case scenario. Morgana's face darkened. It's not pretty, Millie. The poison will start acting like a roofie at first, causing her processing to slow down, blurring her mind, making her body almost uncontrollable. And that's the best-case scenario. If I can't find something to slow down its process in time, it could become really bad, shutting down her organs one by one. It's a painful, slow process. Both Millie and Morgana's attention snapped back to Olivia and Chris. What do you think she just whispered to him? Morgana mused aloud. I have no idea, but it looked important. Whatever it is, I hope it helps us get to that Rehypnol. Across the room, Chris's face twisted into an expression of shock, then one of frustration as Olivia pulled away from their whispered conversation. His voice barely concealed his rising temper. How could you say something like that to me, Olivia? Really? Wanting to rip my throat out? Chris paused, looking over his shoulder to make sure they weren't drawing attention. He leaned in closer, his voice now a strained whisper. Why would you even think to say that? Olivia, her anger simmering just below the surface, retorted in a fierce whisper. Because I'm furious, Chris. You think you're being heroic, but you're not. You're just in the way. But I was trying to protect you. Mark slipped something into your drink. Doesn't that mean anything to you? Chris whispered back. Olivia rolled her eyes. Oh, my hero, saving the damsel in distress. You and your savior complex, always jumping in. But have you ever considered that maybe I don't want to be saved? I'm just trying to be a good boyfriend, Olivia, to look out for you. Is that so wrong? It's not about right or wrong, Chris. It's about understanding that I can handle myself. I have everything under control until you stepped in. Chris's confusion grew and he struggled to find the right words. But I thought I was doing the right thing. Keeping you safe is my responsibility, isn't it? Their intense whisper argument was suddenly interrupted by a server offering them sliders. Both quickly adopted polite smiles, declining the offer with a brief thank you. As soon as the server moved away, Olivia and Chris fell back into their heated discussion. You should be more grateful, Olivia. I don't get why you're so upset about this. Olivia's anger flared. Grateful for what, Chris? For you ruining my plan? I was aware of the risk with Mark's drink. I knew what I was getting into. Unlike you, I had a strategy. Chris looked stunned. You knew? You knew Mark was going to, and you still... Yes, Chris, I knew, and I was handling it. But you, with your incessant need to play the hero, just had to intervene. Chris's confusion deepened. But I thought I was helping. What plan are you talking about? Olivia let out an exasperated sigh. You wouldn't understand, Chris. You see a problem, and you just jump in, no questions asked. But life isn't that simple. My problems aren't yours to solve, they're mine. Chris's voice was tinged with hurt. So what am I supposed to do, Olivia? Just stand by and watch? That's not who I am. No, Chris, but you could try listening for once. Try understanding that I'm not some damsel you need to rescue. I'm capable, I'm smart, and I can handle Mark DeLillo and his petty games. Chris, struggling to comprehend the full scope of Olivia's frustration, finally asked, What are you trying to say, Olivia? What do you mean, what am I trying to say, Chris? This is exactly what I'm saying. You don't listen to me. You never listen. You just jump in and save. You jump in and save, thinking you're my knight in shining armor. I know we joke about that, but it's just a joke. Take a hint. Olivia took a breath, letting her frustration simmer. Chris opened his mouth. But Chris started before Olivia cut him off with a swift hand motion. Exasperated, Olivia grabbed his arm. Just come with me, she said, pulling him away from the prying eyes of the partygoers to a more secluded spot where they could speak freely without the risk of eavesdroppers. What has gotten into her? Chris wondered, anxiety bubbling up inside him. Is Olivia breaking up with me? What is happening? Chris wondered, unable to contain his frantic thoughts. Olivia dragged him by the arm away from the center of the party. Their steps synchronized, but their minds were clearly not. They found a secluded corner in the Nevin home. Olivia turned to Chris, her voice firm yet exasperated. I need you to start listening to me, Chris. I do listen to you, Olivia, Chris replied, his tone defensive. Olivia launched into her point. You need to understand that I'm smart, independent, and I'm usually several steps ahead. I don't always need your help. It's not about me not appreciating you. It's about you recognizing that I can handle things on my own. Chris tried to interject, but Olivia continued. And you need to pick up on my cues, like with the glass. Me taking it back was a sign that I had it under control. But you just kept trying to protect me, and it ruined the whole thing. Chris sighed. I know you're smart and capable, Olivia. Sometimes too independent. I worry that you're so far ahead that you don't see the need for me. I can't stop wanting to save you, even if you think you don't need saving. Olivia rolled her eyes at his response. Chris, it's not about whether or not I need you. It's about understanding and respecting my decisions. It's about partnership, not about one person always coming to the rescue. Chris nodded in understanding, but he still felt conflicted. As a man, I feel this need to protect, especially when it comes to you. It's not about undermining your independence. It's about me wanting to ensure your safety. Olivia's annoyance was clear. And as a woman, I need you to respect me when I say I've got something handled. I appreciate your concern, but you can't swoop in every time you think there's danger. Chris nodded. I get it, Olivia, I do. But in that moment back there, all I could think about was keeping you safe. I'll try to be better at reading your signals, at understanding when you really need my help and when you don't. But when I see a sleazy man like Mark handing you a drink, my instincts take over. You see, Olivia, sometimes men can see when other men are sleazy and up to no good before women can. A man knows when another man is a threat before a woman does, you know? Olivia's annoyance was clear on her face. Internally, she was fuming. It's like he heard nothing I said. Do men live on another planet, incapable of understanding when a woman doesn't need them? He thinks he's being helpful, but it's just too much. Always swooping in, regardless of what I want or need. It's exhausting trying to make him see that. Olivia rolled her eyes as Chris continued his monologue. Sensing the danger of another man, I don't know. It's just there in us, you know? It's something that's been wired in us since the caveman days. Interrupting his rant, Olivia cut to the chase. Do you really want to help me, Chris? Of course, Olivia. You know I'll do anything to help you. I can fix this and do whatever you need me to do. I need you to get me another roofie, Olivia said bluntly. Chris's face turned into a mask of confusion. Another roofie? Why? Why would you need that? Olivia's patience was wearing thin. It doesn't matter why I need it, Chris. I just do. Can you get it or not? When do you need it? Chris asked, still trying to wrap his head around her unusual request. Immediately, Chris. I need it right now, Olivia stated, her tone urgent. Chris looked uncomfortable at the request. You need a roofie for us? He asked nervously. Olivia rubbed her forehead. What are you talking about? Chris stuttered. I mean, do you want us to take it together? Like, as a recreational thing for fun, you know? It's a party, we just had a little disagreement. Maybe you want to blow off some steam and, I don't know. Olivia's annoyance spiked. I don't want you to take a roofie at all, Chris. I don't want any recreational drugs for us to take, ever. Like, ever. Why would you think I want a roofie for us? That's not how you blow off steam, Chris. Chris nodded, realizing his words were already making things worse. Just get me a roofie, stop asking crazy questions, Olivia said as she looked away from Chris. As Chris hurried off to fulfill her request, Olivia's mind raced. What is wrong with men? Why do they always have to complicate things? Are they really from Mars? Because it's starting to seem like they are. Olivia's gaze swept over the party, and to her surprise, she spotted Melanie Cooper. Almost simultaneously, Beatrix's eyes landed on Melanie, her expression shifting from control to shock. Beatrix's face fell into a frown as she fully took in Melanie's presence. She watched as Melanie moved gracefully around the room with their father, Brett Cooper, confidently at her side. Melanie, here. Why? This is the last thing I need. Melanie can only be a distraction right now, Beatrix thought, her mind racing. As she continued to observe Melanie, Beatrix couldn't help but feel thrown off. She took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. No. Focus, Beatrix. Melanie being here is upsetting, but I can't let it derail me. Melanie caught Beatrix's eye and smiled, making her way towards her. Beatrix quickly composed herself, reminding herself to stay focused. I've got Olivia, Mark, and Jake right where I want them. I can't get sidetracked now, not even by Melanie. Besides, it is nice to see her here. Finally, a face in the room that's on my side. When Melanie reached Beatrix, she greeted her with a warm hug. Beatrix, I didn't expect to see you here, Melanie exclaimed cheerily. I didn't know you were coming, Beatrix replied, masking her surprise. How did you end up here? Dad invited me at the last minute. It's so nice to be out with everyone. And look at this dress he got for me, she said as she gave a little spin to Beatrix. Beatrix scrutinized the dress, her anger growing. Dad bought that for you? Is it new? Yes, it's brand new. He said it would look perfect on me. Melanie gushed, oblivious to Beatrix's growing discomfort. Beatrix's eyes flicked to their father, her thoughts seething with disgust. That's slimy. Disgusting. What's he playing at? Brett doesn't do things like this without a reason. Mumbling to herself, Beatrix said, I can't believe what he's trying to pull off here. Melanie looked puzzled at Beatrix's reaction. What do you mean? Beatrix shook her head. Listen, Melanie, he didn't just bring you here for a fun night. He doesn't buy things for people without wanting something in return. And I know he wants you to do something that I refuse to do. You should go home. I'll handle him. Okay, if you say so, Beatrix, Melanie agreed reluctantly, her earlier excitement dimming as she contemplated Beatrix's warning. As Melanie slowly trudged away, Beatrix refocused on the task at hand. Brett watched in confusion as Melanie left the party. His eyes narrowed, scanning the room until they landed on Beatrix. Under his breath, he mumbled, I can't believe Beatrix convinced Melanie to leave. Fuming, Brett marched over to Beatrix, his strides full of anger. What the hell, Beatrix? Why did you tell Melanie to leave? Since when do you have the authority to ask someone else's guest to leave? Beatrix's anger matched Brett's. I told Melanie to leave because, unlike her, I can see straight through your disgusting plans, Brett. She knew her father hated it when she referred to him by his name. And sure enough, she got the reaction she wanted out of him. Brett's face turned a shade redder. My only plan is to save our family, Beatrix. That's something you never understand. Taking one for the team? Beatrix scoffed. Saving the family? With your weird, nasty, and twisted ways? I'm not surprised. All the Coopers are twisted in one way or another. And it's not taking one for the team. If it's just taking one for the team, why don't you do it? If it's just taking one for the team, why don't you do it? Brett clenched his fist. I am doing it in my own way, Beatrix. I don't have the same devices as other family members. Unlike you, I actually care about our family's reputation and rank. I'm the only one doing whatever it takes for the Cooper name. Beatrix laughed. Prostituting your own daughter, that's your big plan? Getting her to be with a terrible man because you know he has money. That's not saving our family, Brett. That's further tarnishing our reputation. You're as dumb and despicable as the rest of them. Brett struggled to find the right words, his frustration evident. You've got it all wrong, Beatrix. Beatrix mocked his struggle to speak. Oh, come on. Can't even put together a decent argument? How typical. As they argued, there was a loud, unmistakable cackle. Both Beatrix and Brett turned around to find the source of the laughter. When they saw who was laughing at them, both Brett and Beatrix's eyes narrowed in abject fury. Olivia's cackle echoed through the room, a piercing, almost sinister sound that drew the attention of many guests. Melanie, who had been on her way out, halted in her tracks when she heard the distinct sound of Olivia's laughter. Under her breath, she muttered, Olivia. Turning around, Melanie's heels clicked against the floor as she made her way towards the source of the laughter. As she approached and caught sight of Olivia, her appalled reaction was immediate. Olivia stood there, smirking smugly. Melanie opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out, because she was too stunned to see Olivia in the flesh. Well, if it isn't Melanie Cooper. I didn't know you still came outside. Olivia greeted Melanie with a taunting tone, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Melanie's mind raced with anger as she faced Olivia. How dare she stand there and mock me, with her condescending voice and her stupid face? Seriously, why is she even here? No one likes her, so she couldn't have been invited. Olivia? Was all that Melanie managed to say. Her voice strained with the effort of keeping her emotions in check. Olivia continued, her voice oozing snark. I almost didn't recognize you with your new hair. It's different. Olivia's smirk grew wider, more wicked. Melanie's memories rushed back to that humiliating incident when Olivia had cut off all her hair. In her mind, Melanie seethed. That little bit... Oh, the nerve of her to even bring up my hair after she cut it all off. The shame and embarrassment I went through of almost being ugly, and this is what she has to say? With pride at that. What a she-devil. Melanie stepped closer, ready to take her on. You know, Olivia, despite your pathetic attempt to ruin me, my hair has never looked better. It's ironic, really, how your little stunt only made me more beautiful. Olivia, unfazed, responded with, Well, Melanie, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? I'm glad you're feeling confident. Olivia's dismissiveness fueled Melanie's rage. Confidence, Olivia, please. You're just a spoiled little brat. Always have been. You think you're so clever, don't you? Strutting around like you own the place. But you're nothing. You're just a sad little girl trying to act like an adult. Olivia chuckled dismissively at Melanie's insult. Oh, Melanie, if you must know, I'm the CEO of the Johnson Corporation, now known as the Park Company. We've merged with my successful gaming company, Confluence, creating one of the most promising businesses in New York. I'm surprised you didn't know all that. I'm all over the newspapers lately. Melanie's mind raced. She's successful, and I didn't even know about it. How did she manage to climb so high so quickly? Olivia, with a hint of smugness, added, I'm more than just a spoiled little brat, Melanie. I'm a boss, and a damn good one at that. So what have you been up to? Beatrix, observing the escalating tension, walked over to Melanie and whispered in her ear, Don't let her get under your skin. Olivia's just trying to rile you up. Don't give her the satisfaction of seeing you embarrassed." Melanie tried to calm herself, taking a deep breath. "I've been busy," she said. "It's best if you leave now, Melanie," Beatrix advised, her voice low and urgent. "Don't play right into Olivia's hand. She wants to provoke you. Walk away." Melanie shot Olivia a withering stink eye as she huffed, turned on her heels, and walked away, with Beatrix trailing behind her. Olivia watched them leave with a satisfied smirk as she thought, "Of course, Beatrix comes in and saves the day. Too bad. It would have been nice to see Melanie lose her cool so everyone could see how unhinged the Coopers are." As Beatrix and Melanie retreated, Olivia glanced back at Morgana, catching her eye. With a subtle nod and a discreet hand gesture, she signaled for Morgana to join her. Morgana sidled up next to Olivia, her gaze still fixed on the retreating figures of Melanie and Beatrix. "What's up?" "I want you to use one of your tracking insects on Melanie. Let's keep tabs on her," Olivia instructed. Morgana's eyes lit up with excitement. "Oh, I've been itching to use one of my bugs on the Coopers," she replied, a wicked grin spreading across her face. "Consider it done." As the Coopers gathered near the exit, Melanie begged Beatrix to let her stay. "Please, Beatrix, I don't want to leave yet. Just a little longer at the party." Beatrix was adamant. "With Olivia and our conniving father here, it's not a good idea. You're already upset, and I can't risk anything else happening." "Olivia did upset me. I won't lie, but I refuse to let her win. I'll avoid her for the rest of the night. Just let me stay," Melanie insisted. Beatrix hesitated, weighing the risks. Melanie's eyes were full of hope. "I promise, Beatrix. I'll be on my best behavior. Just let me stay, please." Beatrix's mind flooded with concern. This could be a huge distraction. What if Melanie can't control herself? She thought. Brett Cooper chimed in. "Let her stay, Beatrix. We shouldn't let Olivia ruin our night. That's exactly what she wants." After a moment of consideration, Beatrix gave in. "Fine, Melanie, you can stay. But stay far away from Olivia and don't cause any scenes." Melanie's face lit up with relief. "I promise, no scenes. Thank you, Beatrix." With a final warning look, Beatrix headed back to the party. Melanie, feeling victorious, made her way around the room. A few minutes later, Melanie stood by the snack table, her eyes locked on Olivia as she stuffed macarons into her mouth. She chewed vigorously, her voice muffled but filled with rage. "I can't stand her. She thinks she's all that. She thinks she's so important, so successful, so this, so that, so what? She's not that great. And I bet her little company isn't even real. It's probably one of those scam jobs." Melanie paused, taking another macaron and biting into it aggressively before she continued her rant. "I've obviously fallen way behind on the New York gossip columns. Haven't heard a thing about the fate of the Johnson Company, or the Park Company, or whatever she's calling it now. But I would have heard about this successful company with this successful kid genius CEO if it were real. I hope her company crashes and burns. I hope she ends up broke and as embarrassed as I was when she cut my hair off. That would be justice." She took another macaron and chewed it slowly, allowing her thoughts to simmer in her deep-seated hatred for Olivia. Brett sauntered over to Melanie, his gaze lingering on her as she continued to indulge in the colorful treats. "You seem to be enjoying those macarons quite a bit." Feeling self-conscious, Melanie quickly wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. "They're good." Brett's eyes narrowed slightly, sensing her discomfort. "Still upset about Olivia, huh?" Melanie, attempting to put on a brave face, replied, "Olivia? No, not at all. Why would I be upset about her?" Brett let out a short laugh. "You're a horrible liar, Melanie. It's written all over your face." Exasperated, Melanie shot back. "How can anyone actually like Olivia? She's absolutely insufferable." Brett, shifting the topic, suggested, "Why don't we enjoy the party and take your mind off Olivia? Come on, let's have some fun." Melanie looked at him puzzled. "And how do you propose we do that?" Brett nodded towards a man across the room. "See that guy over there? That's Mark DeLillo. I'm going to introduce you to him. Just make sure to make a good impression." Melanie glanced at Mark, her expression one of disinterest. "Why do I need to make a good impression on him? He looks pretty average to me. Mark's a key player in New York's business scene. Trust me, it's important to make the right connections, with him especially." Melanie raised an eyebrow. "Why do I need to connect with Mark specifically? There are plenty of successful businessmen in New York." Brett leaned in closer. "You need to connect with Mark because he's Olivia's biggest rival and biggest threat. He's got just as much power as she does, if not more in some circles. Mark is the CEO of the Rose Company, the hottest and most thriving company in the city right now. They're making waves with their luxury hotels and other ventures." Melanie's interest waned as Brett continued, but one detail caught her attention. Mark is just as powerful as Olivia, she thought, her gaze shifting from her father to Olivia across the room. As Brett went on about the Rose Company's successes, Melanie's mind began to form a plan. If Mark is as influential as Olivia, maybe I can seduce him, get him all comfortable with me so I can use his power to my advantage, and finally get my revenge on Olivia. It's been a long time coming, but it'll taste so sweet. Melanie's expression hardened, her resolve clear. That's it. This man, this Mark DeLillo, he'll help me destroy Olivia Johnson for good. As the party continued and Brett kept listening to the sound of his own voice, Melanie's mind was a whirlwind of schemes and strategies. I'll charm Mark DeLillo, make him fall for me. I'll be irresistible, enchanting. He won't stand a chance. I'll find out what he likes, his interests, his weaknesses. I'll be the perfect woman in his eyes, and then I'll use his power against Olivia. She won't know what hit her. Across the party, Mark leaned in closer to Beatrix, his voice sounding concerned. "Beatrix, what's our next step? Chris Jones just ruined our plan with that roofie." Beatrix, however, remained calm and composed, her voice dripping with mockery. "Why are you so worried, Mark? You were the one who said you could handle this mission." Mark frowned. "Why are you so calm about this? We just lost our chance to embarrass Olivia." Beatrix chuckled lightly. "Why wouldn't I be calm? I wasn't the leader of this plan, Mark, and I certainly didn't guarantee its success, especially since it's already failed before." Mark's frustration grew as he listened to her dismissive tone. "What do you want, Beatrix? An apology? Because you're not getting one from me. Not until we have Olivia making a fool of herself at this party and starting her downfall." Beatrix shrugged nonchalantly. "Maybe Olivia will embarrass herself without our intervention. Maybe she'll have an off night, and whatever we do or don't do won't matter." Mark looked like he was on the verge of losing his patience. "You need to cut the sarcasm, Beatrix, and stop this calm, cool, and collected act. We need to figure out what we're going to do about our Olivia problem. Now! We don't have time to wait. She can't walk out of this party on her own 2 feet without some semblance of public embarrassment and shame." Beatrix looked at Mark coolly. "Maybe we should just give up, Mark. Maybe we'll never take Olivia down. We can't even get her to drink a glass of spiked wine after multiple tries. How pathetic are we?" Mark, driven to the edge of his patience, pulled at his hair in frustration before attempting to compose himself. "I refuse to lose to Olivia. I refuse to not get her to drink a spiked drink tonight. I will make sure Olivia gets that drink even if it's the last thing I do. We need a new plan, and we need it now." Beatrix was taken aback by Mark's desperation. "You don't need to go all Shakespeare on me, Mark. The plan is still alive and well." "What do you mean? Explain yourself." Beatrix leaned in. The glass of wine I gave you had nothing in it, Mark. I'm not an idiot. I knew Olivia would never accept a drink from you. Most women in their right mind wouldn't accept a drink from you. But Olivia especially. She can see right through you. Mark's face flushed with anger. You didn't tell me the real plan? Why would you keep that from me? Beatrix looked at him squarely. Because you would have blown it. You don't know how to be a team player, Mark. You don't understand that sometimes other people have better plans and are better leaders. I know how to be a leader. I wouldn't have ruined the plan. Mark retorted. Beatrix rolled her eyes. I gave the roofie to someone else, Mark. Someone who is instrumental in our plan. Someone who wants to see Olivia struggle as much as we do. You can't involve just anyone in our plans, Beatrix. You need to be more careful. You don't know if we can trust this person. You can't be sure of their true motives. They could be working for Olivia for all we know. That's incredibly irresponsible to get someone else involved with us before having them vetted by... Mark's response was cut short by Jacob Nevin's voice echoing through the party. The old patriarch's voice was jubilant but still carried a deep gravitas. Ladies and gentlemen, could I have your attention, please? Let's gather around and celebrate the beautiful birthday girl, Georgina. As Jacob Nevin's voice resonated throughout the room, the chatter and movement of the party gradually ceased, all eyes turning towards him. Standing beside him, Georgina basked in the attention. Jacob, with a warm smile on his face, began his speech. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this very special occasion. The celebration of Georgina becoming an adult. I have a story to share, one that is close to our family's heart. He paused for effect, his gaze sweeping across the room. On the day Georgina was born, following a long-standing family tradition, I bottled a special vintage of wine. This wine wasn't just any wine. It was a symbol of the joy and hope Georgina brought into our lives. The tradition goes that we bury these bottles, letting them age gracefully, only to be unearthed for the young lady's wedding day. But traditions, as we know, evolve with time, so I decided to change this one a little. Jacob looked affectionately at Georgina. Instead of waiting for a wedding, I thought, why not celebrate the remarkable young woman Georgina has become today? So I dug up those bottles, and tonight, we opened them. Not only to mark Georgina's transition into adulthood, but to honor the joy she has brought into our lives. Jacob Nevin instructed the servers, please pass out the wine for this special toast. Let's make this a moment to remember. The servers glided across the room, gracefully distributing glasses of aged wine to the guests. As Beatrix received her glass, her eyes subtly sought out Georgina across the room. She gave her a discreet nod. Mark noticed Beatrix's nod. He followed her eyeline to Georgina and then back to the servers distributing the wine. She's using Georgina and this special wine toast to target Olivia. Impressive. I didn't think she had it in her to be this cunning. His gaze sharpened as he looked across the room at Olivia. She seemed to feel the weight of his stare and turned to meet his eyes. Mark's gaze flickered from the glass in his hand back to her face. Olivia, sensing something amiss, subtly probed into Mark's thoughts with her powers. She got what she was looking for instantly. Olivia won't see it coming. Mark sneered inside his mind. She thought Chris could save her, but not this time. She has no idea. A chill ran down Olivia's spine as she put two and two together. He's talking about this glass. The celebration wine. It's drugged. Olivia looked at the glass that had just been handed to her. Panic set in as she contemplated her next move. Do I drink it now? Let the bug do its job or not? What if this bug doesn't work and Mark and Beatrix get exactly what they want? But what if this bug ruins me and they still get what they want? Without further hesitation, Olivia raised the glass to her lips and drank the wine, bracing herself for the effects of the drug mixed with the insect she had ingested earlier. Leaning towards Morgana, Olivia whispered, I drank the spiked wine. Should something happen? I feel weird, but I don't know. Is it working? Morgana's eyes keenly watched for any sign of the bug's effects. Meanwhile, Millie found herself confused by the wine. This wine is really strong, isn't it? Feels like it could knock someone off their feet. I've never had wine like this before. I don't think I've ever had anything like this before. It must be really special because it's strong. At that moment, Chris discreetly handed Olivia the roofie she had requested earlier. Olivia looked down at it. I don't need this anymore, Chris, she murmured. Chris opened his mouth as if to ask why, but then seemed to think better of it and remained silent. Morgana, trying to lighten the mood, took a sip of her wine and said to Millie, "This is pretty strong, but I can handle my drinks. It's nothing compared to what they have across the pond, but I guess it's decent." She expected some response, but none came. Turning to her right, Morgana realized Millie was no longer there. "Where did Millie go?" she asked, confused. Olivia, puzzled, looked around. "What do you mean? Millie was just here." "I know that. I heard her talking about the wine. Millie was right here, and now she's gone. So where did she go? Did you see her leave? Why did she just leave?" Morgana questioned. Olivia surveyed the room but couldn't see Millie anywhere. "That's weird. Millie wouldn't just disappear like that." Morgana's face drained of color. "We have a big problem, Olivia." Olivia's eyes narrowed in concern. "What's the problem?" Morgana's voice was shaky. "Not only is Millie missing, but there's something else. If you had drunk that roofie in the wine, the insect you ingested should have made you instantly throw up the poison. But you didn't. Your glass wasn't spiked." Beatrix's mouth curved into a wicked, satisfied smirk as she saw the panic building on Olivia's face. "I've been waiting to see this for too long, but now that it's happening, it's even better than I imagined. How could you screw this up so badly?" Mark, still shocked and confused by the recent turn of events, seethed under his breath to Beatrix. "We were supposed to drug Olivia. It was simple." Mark could not believe the woman who constantly talked down to him about his level of intelligence could turn around and bungle their entire plan so spectacularly. "Pull yourself together and use your head for even 1 minute, Mark," Beatrix snapped. "On what planet was drugging Olivia going to be a good plan? What do you think would happen afterward? Once Chris Jones and his powerful family start to investigate, and they absolutely will, what was your plan for handling that part exactly? You thought all our problems were just going to end there? You are such a child." "But wouldn't he go after the Nevin family since they are the hosts?" Mark stuttered and looked away. He'd been so consumed with thoughts of getting revenge on Olivia that he had not thought about the consequences all the way through. Beatrix snorted. "Of course he would. He'll tear them all a new one. But honestly, picture it. Chris has Jake cornered to make him talk. You're banking on Jake Nevin keeping quiet about your involvement in this? Do we even know the same Jake Nevin? Because the one I know would sing like a songbird to save his own skin." Mark did picture it, vividly. There is no doubt that if anything went south, Jake Nevin would be the first person to betray me and sell me out. Mark realized. Jake Nevin is nothing but a cowardly slimeball. "I actually thought this through. Unlike you, clearly." Beatrix scoffed. "Drugging Olivia would have been a short-term win, but it would cost us way more than it's worth. But hurting one of Olivia's friends right in front of her, now that is what will bring Olivia the most pain and for long after. Long-term suffering is much more fitting, I think." Mark's eyes widened with shock as Beatrix's plan sunk in. He understood the advantages immediately. "I guess it would be a pain that she will remember for the rest of her life." Mark's enthusiasm grew the more he thought about it. Beatrix nodded with cold eyes and a bloodthirsty smile. "Yes, drugging Olivia's mind and body is nothing compared to attacking her heart." "You're a lot more intense than I realized." Mark gaped at Beatrix. Bloodthirsty Beatrix Cooper. Mark's mind reeled. Now I finally understand why the mysterious man sent me Beatrix Cooper. She's not just any Cooper after all. She's good. Almost too good. It's a little scary." Meanwhile, Olivia desperately tried to contain the panic and fear that boiled inside her. She clenched her fists so tightly that her nails dug deep into her palms. "Calm down. You have to calm down," she urged herself as she took deep, trembling breaths. She slowly raised her head and locked her eyes on Beatrix Cooper. At that exact moment, Beatrix looked up and smiled tauntingly at Olivia. "Beatrix Cooper," Olivia raged in her mind. She clenched her teeth and clung to her mantra. "Stay calm. You have to think clearly. If you lose it now, who is going to save Millie?" Olivia closed her eyes and willed her heartbeat to slow even slightly. She concentrated and listened out for the thoughts of everyone roaring the room. Unfortunately, her involuntary agitation and anxiety made it nearly impossible for her to focus enough to grab onto any clear thought. The sizable crowd also made it difficult to isolate any one voice clearly. "I can't hear anything, damn it!" Olivia frowned. She focused her efforts and concentrated even more on hearing anything that would help. "Olivia, your nose is bleeding," Morgana exclaimed when she saw that Olivia's eyes were closed and her face was white as a ghost. Morgana was already worried, but between the sight of Olivia's nosebleed and the fact that Olivia had just fainted earlier that day, Morgana felt so anxious that she thought she might start to cry. Olivia opened her eyes, which were now red from all the straining. She heard a chaotic buzzing in her ears. "I still can't hear anything. It's a mess of loud sounds in here," Olivia thought and cursed to herself. "Are you okay?" Morgana fearfully asked when she saw Olivia's bloodshot eyes. "I'm fine," Olivia said coldly, her gaze fixed straight ahead with a grim expression. She reached up to wipe the blood from her nose with her hand and said in a low voice, "I need to find Melanie Cooper now." "Okay." Morgana nodded and closed her eyes, her brow furrowed from the effort until she opened her eyes once again. "She's in the bathroom," Morgana reported. "Thanks," Olivia said and quickly turned to hunt down Melanie. Just then, Chris appeared right in Olivia's path. "Hey," he called out to her to get her attention. He took in her appearance and his eyes instantly darkened. "What happened?" he asked, worried. "Is Sven still here?" Olivia grabbed Chris's sleeve as she asked. "Yes?" Chris nodded. "What do you need?" "Call him over here," Olivia answered. "All right." Chris nodded and gestured at Sven. Sven responded with a thumbs up and quickly made his way to them from across the room. "Hang on," Olivia said as she took out her phone and dialed Jared Nevin's number. "No time to explain, just listen for a second. I've a few friends about to show up at the Nevin party, and I need a way to sneak them in through the back." "Got it." Across the room, Jared hung up the phone and immediately pretended to be drunk. He rubbed his temples as if in pain, then disappeared into the crowd. Olivia ended the call and turned to Sven, who had just reached them. "There is a woman in a yellow dress in the bathroom. Her name is Melanie Cooper. I don't care how your guys do it, I just need to move her somewhere." "Sure thing." Sven nodded and reached for his earpiece. He turned and walked in the direction of the bathroom. Not far off, Beatrix glanced over to check on Olivia's reaction to the situation. She did not know what Olivia's plan was, but the sight of Olivia's reddened eyes and the blood that dripped from her nose made Beatrix feel rather confident that she had already won this round. She turned to look for Melanie in the crowd of guests. After a few moments, she raised her eyebrow in confusion. "Where is Melanie?" she wondered. She anxiously continued searching, but Beatrix did not see Melanie anywhere. Instead, she spotted her dad, Brett Cooper. He smiled widely as he continued cozying up to those he deemed able to do him favors in the future. Stifling the anger that bubbled up inside her, Beatrix marched towards Brett. "Dad, where is Melanie?" she demanded. "Melanie?" Brett asked as he turned to look at Beatrix. "She's in the bathroom or something," he said tersely. He was not at all pleased about that fact. Brett had just been able to introduce Melanie to Mark DeLillo when she suddenly announced she needed to use the restroom. "What a useless girl," he lamented. Beatrix looked across the room at Olivia and saw she was still talking to Chris in a way that looked like she was making some kind of plan. Beatrix walked as quickly as she could in the direction of the bathroom. How could she already have a counterattack? Beatrix worried. They did not have much time, but she dared not leave too quickly. I can't afford to tip off Olivia yet. In spite of the anxiety that coursed through Beatrix, she kept her face composed. Once she made it to the bathroom, however, the panic rose in her throat as she searched each stall to no avail. Melanie was not there. She quickly found Georgina and asked for help. I need you to secure all of the entrances and exits to the house so no one can leave, Beatrix told Georgina. Okay, is everything all right? Georgina wrinkled her brow. I don't know, Beatrix answered, her eyes darting around the room. I can't find Melanie. Sensing Beatrix's fear, Georgina quickly racked her brain for ways she could help. I'll check the security footage, Georgina offered comfortingly. Okay, Beatrix breathed. I should go and handle Olivia now. Beatrix thought quickly. Georgina nodded and rushed away. Beatrix approached Olivia with a grim expression on her face. Where is Melanie? Where is Millie? Olivia asked coldly and folded her arms. As Olivia and Beatrix faced off, Morgana noted how much they resembled each other. Not in appearance, but in their attitudes and auras, they were identical. It's already too late for Millie, Beatrix spat. There's no point. Give it up. Give it up? Olivia sneered. I promise you that if you harm so much as a strand of hair on Millie's head, I will make sure that Melanie doesn't have a single strand of hair left on hers. You wouldn't dare, Beatrix hissed. A shadow settled over Olivia's eyes, and she smiled menacingly. Do you really want to find out? Olivia tried to keep a brave poker face, despite the fact that her heart was beating out of her chest. Even though it's a race against time, whoever panics most is going to lose, Olivia reminded herself. Olivia and Beatrix were locked in a stalemate. Beatrix knew that without confirmation of where Millie was or that she was safe, she had leverage over Olivia. Olivia would not dare to jeopardize Millie, Beatrix thought. Now Georgina just has to come through for us and find Melanie on the security cameras. I might not even need Olivia to tell me where she is. If I can just buy Georgina some more time, Melanie will be safe for that much longer. Suddenly, both Olivia's and Beatrix's phone rang. They stared at each other and slowly answered their phones at the same time. Hello? They each listened to their completely different calls, nodded, then simultaneously put down their phones. Beatrix kept her eyes glued to Olivia, searching her face for any hints. Damn her, she has such a good poker face. Beatrix scowled. She had nothing to gather from Olivia's expression. Olivia smiled, and she could tell Beatrix did not have Melanie's location yet. Good luck finding Melanie, Olivia said as she slowly backed away and waved goodbye. Beatrix could not restrain herself any longer. She roared as she lunged at Olivia. But at the perfect moment, Sven stepped right in between them, just as Beatrix was just inches away from Olivia. He caught her in his arms, restraining her. Oh, my Miss Cooper. If you wanted to throw yourself at me, you could at least wait until we're somewhere more private, no? I'm an old-fashioned kind of guy. I don't like public displays of affection. Sven smirked as he held Beatrix back. You! Beatrix yelled at Sven. Spare me your idiotic jokes! Beatrix watched helplessly as Olivia disappeared back into the crowded party. She pushed away from Sven and hurried in the opposite direction. She took out her phone and hurriedly called Georgina. What do we do now? Georgina whimpered. She was really worried. When she went to look at the Nevin house's security footage, she found all of it was blacked out. It was Georgina who called Beatrix earlier and relayed this information during the standoff with Olivia and their simultaneous phone calls. The news that the security footage was blacked out sent Beatrix into a desperate spiral, but she knew it was essential not to show any hitch in her resolve. I'll find Olivia. You come help me keep an eye on her, Beatrix instructed, her expression murderous. Okay, Georgina agreed. Beatrix stayed on the phone as she hunted for Olivia in the crowded room. At last, she spotted her target. "Olivia is by the dessert table," Beatrix told Georgina. "I see her," Georgina replied. Beatrix looked up and spotted Georgina standing at the top of the staircase looking down. She looked back at Olivia, who was on her own phone at the dessert table. "What the hell is Olivia doing?" Beatrix bellowed in her mind. When Olivia got her phone call earlier, I thought it had to be that she had gotten Millie's location. Why is she still here? Shouldn't she take off to go get Millie? "It looks like she's making a call," Georgina said as she frowned at the scene below. "I know," Beatrix snapped impatiently and hung up the phone. She marched towards Olivia when suddenly someone stopped her. "Beatrix, where's your sister? I haven't seen her anywhere since she went to use the bathroom ages ago. What's going on? Where did she disappear to?" Brett demanded in frustration. "I'm supposed to be introducing her to Mark DeLillo, so that at least one of my daughters can be useful and marry him to save the family," Brett thought to himself. "I've looked everywhere and I don't have any more time for games from you girls," he huffed. He continued his angry thoughts internally. "I did not spend all that money to make Melanie look as enticing as possible just for her to run off and hide at such a crucial moment. Shut up and get out of my way, Dad. I'll deal with you later." Beatrix hissed through her clenched teeth. "You better pray that nothing happens to Melanie." "Huh?" Brett was stunned at Beatrix's fierce, deadly look in her eyes. He staggered backward away from her and tried to steady himself. What do you mean?" Brett stammered. Don't pretend like you care. You're disgusting and everyone knows it. Either get lost on your own or I'll make you." Beatrix shouted as she shoved Brett out of her path and continued towards Olivia. When Olivia saw Beatrix Cooper walk towards her, she smiled slightly and spoke into her phone. "You guys take it from here. We'll talk later." "Okay," Camilla Pell answered on her end of the line and hung up the phone. She turned to Cameron Pell and said, "Well, that was our signal. I figured I didn't need to tell her we already got it done." Cameron nodded and hugged Millie, who lay unconscious in his arms. No one would ever know how scared he felt when he saw Millie being drugged away on Nevin's security footage that he and Camilla had infiltrated. There was no way he could wait. The thugs were not getting anywhere with Millie on his watch. He and Camilla immediately snuck into the Nevin house, thanks to Jared Nevin's help, and confronted her captors. They deftly chloroformed the lungs that had Millie, and Cameron pulled her away from them. From the way Millie muttered in her sleep as she settled into Cameron's arms, he concluded that the drugs had just taken effect. They successfully got her, but when Cameron looked down at Millie now, he could tell something was wrong. "She doesn't look right," Cameron signed desperately to Camilla. Millie deteriorated quickly before Cameron's eyes. Her symptoms were worse than what was typical from this drug. Her entire face was flushed red and her body felt hot and feverish. Cameron knew that they needed to get help as soon as possible. If they did not make it in time, there could be irreversible damage. "Buckle up. We're going to go to the hospital," Camilla said, reading her brother's mind. The siblings sped away with Millie as fast as they could and messaged Olivia to let her know. Back inside the house, Olivia nodded at the message from the Pells, then continued to stare Beatrix down as she walked towards her. "I figured out your entire plan as soon as you drugged Millie," Olivia thought. "I told Sven everything and made my own plan." Olivia remembered how Sven's eyes had lit up after she told him the plan. "Brutal," he had commented. "I like it." "I'm just returning the favor," Olivia had said to him. "If Beatrix's goal was to make me suffer for the rest of my life, then my goal is to give her a taste of her own medicine." Olivia swore to herself. Beatrix finally halted a few feet from Olivia and glared at her. "Do you want to know where Melanie is?" Olivia smiled back at Beatrix. "You better not do anything to hurt her or else," Beatrix threatened, but Olivia interrupted her. "Beatrix, you made a huge mistake tonight, the biggest of your life, and that was to target Millie," Olivia threatened. Her gaze blazed with quiet fury as she locked onto Beatrix's eyes. Olivia's calm voice was more unsettling than any yelling. Olivia usually blended in among regular people, but at that moment, all of her ruthlessness and violent, vengeful intentions were on full display. She looked like a terrifying spirit back from the dead instead of a human girl. Beatrix gritted her teeth and stood her ground in spite of the shiver that ran up her spine. I could say the same to you. Anyone who hurts Melanie's going to die, that's a promise. Is that so? Olivia laughed darkly. Then it couldn't possibly be me. I've been standing right here the whole time. Beatrix felt as though she was losing her mind. How has Olivia planned everything so thoroughly? How is she doing it all? Beatrix reeled. It doesn't make sense. Who is helping her? And even so, how did she or anyone capture Melanie and sneak her out of the Nevin mansion when Georgina secured all of the exits? Is someone in the Nevin family a traitor and helping Olivia? Beatrix's thoughts raced until the truth suddenly dawned on her. Cold, hard fear settled over Beatrix's face like a dark cloud, and her eyes widened in shock. Melanie must still be inside the house, Beatrix realized. Suddenly, a flash of light upstairs stole Beatrix's attention. The color instantly drained from her face as she pieced it together. That's the secret signal that I, Mark, and Jake agreed on for our plan, Beatrix realized. Melanie is upstairs, where Millie was supposed to be. Melanie, no! Beatrix screamed. She picked up her skirt and scrambled up the stairs as fast as she could.